And we are live, guys. Welcome, Girls of High Value, to another live stream from Men of High Value. Oh my gosh. To Girls of High Value channel. Come on, Joseph. All right, we're coming to Girls of High Value channel. My name is Joseph Darling, and we're going to talk about how to increase your lifespan as a woman, as a girl. I'm not going to belabor the point about why you die. Okay, the only thing I'm going to say about that is that it has to do with motivation. The fact of the matter is eventually you will give in to death because you're not motivated any longer to go any further steps. You're like, why should I live any longer? And that's when you die. Okay, so having a purpose larger than yourself and that involves other people is critical. So, I'm going to go into different things. Instead of talking about the causes of death, I'm going to talk about the causes that creates longer lifespan. And this will add years to your life if you manage to find a way to apply these principles to your life. And I'm going to keep it simple. There's two aspects of life. Well, there's three categories of life. You've got relationships, you've got health, you've got finance. Okay? Finances is very critical because if you don't got your finances right, it's going to be very difficult to focus on relationships and optimal health. You need to have good finances, and the best way to get good finances, if you're a teenage girl and you're thinking long term, I want to have lots of money, then don't do it yourself. The easiest way is for you to focus on becoming the best you that you possibly can be in order to find a guy who is able to provide for you for the rest of your life and who does a very good job at it. Okay? Very simply put, that's just simple. Because once you've taken care of that and you never have to think about money and finances ever again, just this huge chunk of a category of life that you don't really want to think about. Women are so good at saying money can't buy happiness. Great. Then stop chasing the money. There's no point for you to chase the money if you've got the right man to take care of you. And he's got the right mindsets. He understands finances. He understands business. And he is a leader who refuses to have a job. J-O-B. Just over broke. Okay? That's the biggest thing that's going to help your lifespan, is to have a guy who helps you to not have to worry about finances and not have to worry about creating huge organizations for the global humankind. Okay? How about we focus on you? How about we focus on your inner circle and the true deep relationships? And he can worry about the global problems. Okay? And then you can spit in sometimes your viewpoint of maybe he could think bigger. Maybe he could, go out into the world and create solutions for this and this and this and this. You don't want to take upon yourself the problems of the world. You take upon the problems of the world upon your shoulders, guess what? Eventually that body is going to crack. And that's not going to help your lifespan. You want to give away those burdens, the global issues, to the right guy. Let him take care of it, but you got to make sure he's pretty good. Okay? That's the most important decision you'll ever make in your life is who you marry, because that's going to affect your motivation hardcore. Okay? So, once we know that, get rid of the money thing, get rid of the huge global projects of let's save the world. Instead, let's focus on you and what you can do for yourself and for the close people around you. Okay, so if we know that there's two aspects of life, that's it. That allows you to now focus. Instead of diversifying all your efforts and energies and not really getting anywhere, it's kind of like running on the treadmill and not getting anywhere. You want to focus on a few things at a time. Just like, for example, if you're going to chop 100 trees in the forest, first of all, you'll let your husband do it, right? But you want to chop not one chop at every single tree, because it's going to take you forever and eventually you'll lose motivation and you won't cut down 100 trees. You want to cut down one tree at a time and make sure that you chip away at it, and then it's taken care of. And if you have the correct habits in your life that allows you to focus on just those few aspects of life, that will massively help your lifespan. What are some of those areas? Let's start with health. Okay, since we're on the topic of health and lifespan, the two things there that are absolutely critical, and actually there's three, but there's two obvious ones, and the last one is not as obvious, and I'll talk about it. Exercise. Okay, exercising is absolutely critical. And I'm not talking about spending 2 or 3 hours at the gym every day. I'm just talking about doing 10 to 20 minutes to 30 minutes of exercise that makes you sweat. Okay? Women aren't very beautiful when they're sweaty, right? But it's critical that you do it because it allows the toxin to get out of your body, and it also allows your organs to work themselves a little tiny bit. You want them to kind of get in the mode of, okay, so we need to do this. We need to be prepared. We need to be ready. Your body listens to what is happening to it. But if you're straining yourself, if you're doing way too much, then your body is going to adapt and shape and form in order for you to handle those pressures. You don't want to do that. You want to allow your body to remain the same, but just so that your organs are allowed to exercise themselves and strain themselves a little bit more than what you feel is comfortable, but that's it. You don't want to overdo the discipline when it comes to the exercise thing. The reason why, and I should have explained this in the beginning, but the reason why is because of femininity and masculinity. You want to be feminine. If there's just one code word for this entire video, how to increase your lifespan, be feminine. That's it. If you're masculine, you will die an early age. Just how it is. The reason why disease happens in women is because they are burdened. Okay, something burdens them. Now, obviously in life, everyone gets burdened, right? But the less burdens a woman has, the more she is allowed to focus on her health and focus on her relationships, the things that make her happy. And happiness really is what creates the longer lifespan in general. So, okay, so moving back to the exercise aspect, you don't want to strain yourself too much and discipline yourself too much, because that will lean you towards more masculinity instead of femininity. Does that make sense? Okay, so the next thing is nutritious foods. You want to use a formula that we found from Dr. Furman, which is nutrients divided by calories. Okay, you want to have as many nutrients as possible compared to the calories that you put in your body. You need a certain amount of calories in order for your body to feel full and to feel happy and satisfied and content. But if you can manage to pump those nutrients, or just choose fruits and vegetables most of the time, that has tons of nutrients per calorie, then you can eat as much as you want, and that's going to be an absolute game changer in not only keeping you healthy, but it'll also help you to never ever become overweight. It's not possible to become overweight on the Dr. Furman formula. So if you somehow manage to unburden yourself enough in every single area of your life so that you can focus on your health and your relationships, then that will allow you to focus on nutrition and nutrients and how your body works and anatomy and making sure that your body has the things that it needs. You don't need to become a medical doctor in order to understand how the body works. It's great if you know what the doctors know, but that is some knowledge that you can accumulate over time from experience, but also from learning. Learning is great. Learn about your body. Learn and understand how it functions, because it'll allow you to get more joy out of it. And also it'll allow you to help other people if in case of an emergency. So anyway, not going to beat that one to death, but that's the two things. Another one is avoiding stress and deadlines. Notice how I said deadlines? Exactly. If you set massive goals, this is how men should set their goals. Set massive, unrealistic goals that will have to, where they need a deadline to get it done. That's great for men. But for women, I don't recommend having deadlines, because deadlines makes it so that you might have to strain your body more than you need to. You don't need stress, okay? Distress. You need the positive eustress of exercise, but that's it. Mental, too much of that's not necessary. Life will throw enough problems at you, okay? You don't need to seek out more problems and more issues. You're gonna have enough, trust me. And if you just simply focus on relieving yourself of stress and not take upon yourself responsibilities, give responsibilities away, delegate as much as possible, because you don't want to be the one that does everything. You don't want to be Superwoman. Okay, and that's why I focus all the time on my channel to just don't do the career thing, because it will force you to be Superwoman, because eventually you'll want to have a family, you'll want to have kids, and you've got your history of a lot of issues and blah, blah, blah. Burden. You don't want burden. It's not necessary. You want to be unburdened. You want to be lightweight. Okay? Deadlines. Don't do it. Okay. Another one is no substances. Okay? I'm talking to teenagers here. I'm talking to the teenagers who are basically introduced for the first time in their lives, other than other medicine or whatever else that your parents gave you in your childhood. But once you enter into your teenage years, you're introduced to the temptations. I call them temptations, but call them whatever you want. To alcohol and cigarettes and drugs and things that will create havoc on your body. Not just short term, but long term. There are certain things that you put in your body when you put in substances that stay in your body and that might have a huge issue going out of your body, especially if you don't do the past things that I explained about exercise and nutrition. Then putting substances in your body and never clearing that out is going to produce long-term effects of a shorter lifespan. That's just how it is. If you burden your kidneys, if you burden your lungs, if you burden your liver, if you burden all of those organs with reckless activities in your teenage years and your 20s and your 30s, and it keeps going on because 20% of the people who ever taste alcohol becomes addicted, then it's going to become a problem. It's going to create a shorter lifespan. So you want to have a policy starting early on in your life that I do not take in any form of substances or drugs, none so ever. Nothing, including the birth control pill. Okay? And I'll explain why. Because it's hormones. Okay? There's things in those drugs, in those substances that will create issues. Not only that, but they're also hiding the symptoms of what should be happening to your body, and it confuses your body, and it's not being sure of what it's supposed to do. Am I supposed to flush these toxins out of this body, or am I supposed to keep them? I'm not sure, and it's confused. You don't want your body to be confused. You want your body to be free of substance in such a way that it gives you immediate feedback to what is going on. Later in life, for old people, you can't tell them to stop taking drugs because they've become accustomed to it. And if they don't take their drugs, then it's going to create more issues, okay? But for teenage girls who have not yet become addicted, it's such a huge thing. If you can manage to avoid your teenage years and your 20s and just avoid all forms of substances that are designed to make you feel something, or to create a spike of emotion, or that is there to alleviate a symptom of some sort because your body is responding to something that's actually really wrong and you need to find the root cause of it, not just the symptom to be hidden, just don't do it. That's one of the biggest things that produce a short lifespan. And the last one, it's not the last one. How come I always say and the last one? This one is also huge, and that is to allow yourself to have as much non-substance fun as possible. Laughter cures so many things. If you can unburden yourself and give away all those disciplines and strains and masculine activities, it allows you to stay within a bubble where you can enjoy yourself, have fun, laugh, just spend time with people that you love, smile a lot, and just send those positive oxytocin and those endorphins to your brain continuously. Reality, it's the brain that allows us to live or not. It's the brain that stops sending signals to our organs eventually, right? Our brain is what we need to protect. You know, maybe our organs at one point, our brains might be working perfectly, but our organs might not. Okay, it's a game play between all of the different parts of the body. But in aspects of the more positive infusion you get to your brain, the better. But it cannot be forced positivity. This is where a lot of people go wrong, because women believe that if I'm just positive all the time, and I hide my sadness and my depression, and I hide the things that truly are happening to me, then it's going to get better. No, it's not going to get better. What actually needs to get out is how you truly feel. Women need to have emotional freedom. Emotional freedom will help massively towards helping you to be feminine. This is why, in my opinion, women should not have to control themselves. The only aspect they need to control themselves in is to stay within the boundaries that has been set for them by someone else in conjunction and decision-making process with them. Okay? I'm not saying that other people should make decisions on your behalf. I'm saying that if you made decisions with someone else about which boundary you should have, and you can do whatever you want within that boundary, fantastic. It allows emotional freedom. And emotional freedom allows your femininity, and femininity is what's going to help you to have a massive, long lifespan in the first place. Femininity is laughter, joy, focusing on the now, and just being present. That's what it's all about. Once you understand this message, just life becomes so easy to live. It's all about the now. The problem in the world today is that most often women are not being provided for. So what are they voting for? They're voting for socialism. And so the big government gets big, and they hope that big government is going to protect them and make sure that they get what they need. Women, obviously, right? But it's a problem because eventually they don't have money, and they're not going to give you what you need in order to survive and have a long lifespan. Okay? You can't rely on the government who does not love you. It doesn't know you. It has no relationship towards you. But instead, if you focus on having the right guy provide all the necessities of life for you, and you have a relationship to him, and he understands these principles as well, amazing. It's done. Then you don't have to worry about your security and your safety, because he's always going to be there. And even if he was to, knock on wood, suddenly disappear for whatever reason, you have your femininity to fall back on, which means that there will always be a guy out there who will take you in because you're feminine. Your masculinity will limit your opportunities drastically to find the right guy. Okay, just saying. And also becoming a mother. In the old days, that was a problem. Women sometimes died in childbirth, and children sometimes died in childbirth. But we've come to a different age right now where if you apply the correct principles and you do the right thing when it comes to childbirth, there's no need for the mother or the child to be in danger. Once the child is born and the woman, the mother, is in an unburdened state, okay? Obviously, children creates burdens of their own, but it's not a massive burden if the husband have resources to make sure you get the needed help. Okay? It's only a problem when you're trying to do everything yourself, you're having a multitude of children, and you don't have resources to get someone else's help, and you're alone by yourself. Not good recipe. You want to make sure he's got the resources to back you up on this. You want to make sure that you've got a network of women to be around and not to have too many kids. Okay? I say 1 child per woman. You can handle 2, but then the husband needs to be massively involved, and then it takes away his ability to focus on his business. So if you have 2 or 3, you need to have the resources to do so, and he needs to be able to bring in the necessary dough to make it happen. And again, voting against socialism will assist your husband to make more dough. Prices are going to go lower, and wages are going to go up because there's no socialism. And it's based on voluntarism and allows men to become rich. And when they're rich, they provide resources for their families. And then everything just becomes easier. And understanding your sexuality. Now, in your teenage years, this is not the focus. Okay? You want to make sure you've got the other things in place. You'll have a lifetime of exploring and understanding your sexuality, but I'm putting it in here because your sexuality is going to be a source of joy and massive motivation to you in the future. Okay? But in your teenage years, you don't need to understand that now. Okay? The most important thing right now in order to increase your lifespan is to stay away from sexual matters right now until you understand life, until you understand the world, until you find the right guy. Okay? Because the reason why is because it can massively burden you and create a lot of emotional issues that will decrease your lifespan and make you more masculine and make you more burdened and that aspect. Okay? Coming back to the thing of there's 2 things in terms of health. No, there's 3. The 2 things are nutrition and exercise. The third one is mental stability. You don't want to be mentally unstable. You want to have emotional instability, not mental instability. Emotional instability means that you're having fun and you're enjoying yourself. Okay? When you're in the correct environment. But mental instability doesn't allow you to do that. It puts you in depression and makes things difficult and hard to live. Okay? I've seen that for myself in my personal life. Not me, not my wife necessarily, but just other people in general. I know this. You don't want to be mentally unstable, and guess what? If you have too many sexual partners, there comes a time when mental instability is the norm. You don't want to get there. This is why I say you should focus on sexuality or enter into that space once you've found the right guy. I can't overemphasize this enough. I'm completely against what the world is telling you to have sex outside of a long-term relationship and long-term committed relationship and until you find the guy that you're compatible with in bed. That's a horrible, reckless strategy for an increased lifespan and a life of joy and happiness. Just don't do it, okay? Don't listen to them. They're also telling you about feminism. They're also telling you a bunch of stuff that just doesn't work. What does work, however, are the principles that I've shared in this video. This is the Girls of High Value channel. My name is Joseph Darling. I'll see you again tomorrow.